Oh, yeah. Tim Walz drops his reelection bid amid scrutiny over state's fraud scandal. Let's take a look at this.
Election campaign. The former Democratic VP candidate has been slammed by Republicans over his handling of widespread fraud in Minnesota. Federal prosecutors say billions of taxpayer money was stolen by operators of daycares and health companies. Ed O'Keefe has more on Walz's announcement. Ed, good morning.
Nate, good to see you. You know, if things had gone differently for Walz right now, he'd be vice president. But he's a governor who wanted a third term and says he's dropping that bid to address problems in Minnesota, including the fraud scandal, without distraction. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz rose to national prominence in 2024 as Kamala Harris's running mate.
Now I'm hitting the road.
And backed by a surge of out-of-state support plus home state popularity, he'd already started running for a third term. But on Monday, he dropped those plans.
Every minute that I spend defending my own political interest would be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals who prey on our generosity and the cynics who want to prey on our differences.
For months, Walz has defended his administration's work to protect taxpayers.
This generational fall on and then fall off. I had such big hopes for Tim Walz. I had such big fucking hopes, dude. Because his congressional track record wasn't bad. And listen, I'm not the number one cynic here. Michael from Pennsylvania, not Beijing, okay, is a far greater cynic than I am. And he also had big dreams for Tim Walz as well initially. Like, as far as his congressional track record, he was solid. Like, he did stuff that the rest of the Democratic Party often didn't touch. He talked about a non-interventionist policy in Syria, things like that. That's not, you know. He was really good on social safety nets. The Democratic Farmer Labor Party was incredible with the slim majority that they had. If you don't think that Musk and Nikita Beer goosed the algorithm to promote right-wing bullshit, I have several bridges and a Palm Beach mansion to sell you. Oh, true. I ended Tim Walz. Thank God. Amen. Would not have been possible without X. Anyway, what happened to Tim Walz first was obviously he got the lib poison touch, being associated with Kamala Harris's campaign, where they backpocketed him, where they were like, would you do a nuclear first strike on Iran? And he was like, oh, yes. To defend Israel? Yes. What a fucking stupid thing to say. What a ridiculous thing to say. God damn. And then after that, after the campaign, he went back to his duties as governor. And even then, he rat-fucked Omar Fateh and backed Jacob Frey, who is actually somewhat connected to Amy Bach, the lady who is the linchpin of this Somali fraud story, for the record. That was also ridiculous.
Dollars, as federal prosecutors have charged at least 98 people with defrauding billions from state programs that fund everything from housing assistance to public health. Most of those charged are of Somali descent.
Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state.
Minnesota is home to the nation's largest concentration of Somalis, most of them American citizens. President Trump has repeatedly attacked them and the governor.
Walz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him.
Trump also deployed federal immigration agents to the state, where more than 670 people were arrested during raids last month. And multiple law enforcement officials tell CBS News the Trump administration's now planning to send roughly 2,000 immigration agents and officers to the Twin Cities.
Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and in St. Paul and online want to make our state a colder, meaner place.
Now, with Walz bowing out, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar, a once and potentially future presidential candidate, among those considering a gubernatorial campaign. A crowded Republican field includes Mike Lindell, founder of My Pillow, who's a staunch supporter of President Trump.
Yeah, here, donor pressure came in. They got scared of the fucking Somali fraud story, and they iced him. And they said they're going to back Klobuchar. There it is. That's the story. And he had to bow out in disgrace like this. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. Fuck. Yes. David was an Islamophobic right-wing lobbyist piece of shit. I know. Unnamed source in viral Minnesota Somali fraud videos, right-wing lobbyists who called Muslims demons. It's so funny that like everything about this story was fucked from the jump. I called it out, and many others did too, but it doesn't even matter for right-wingers. It's yet another glaringly obvious example that they're just going to keep rolling this shit out. Both Nick Shirley and his far-right TikTok influencer mom relied on a guy that they simply called David in their viral baseless daycare videos. The Intercept has identified the man as a lobbyist and one-time GOP candidate for attorney general with a history of vile social media posts. Will he pivot left? I don't know where he goes from here. Benny Johnson has announced he's going to do a content streak in California looking for fraud. If Benny Johnson thinks he will get away with doing Nick Shirley shit in California, he's wrong. You have to see Newsom's response to Benny Johnson. He called him gay. I mean, he's just saying truthful things.